Yo, what's going on, guys?
Good morning to you there, Mr. Food Monster. This is how it's going.
Welcome to another Four Squared here. We got a different one here, if you will. This is Four Squared in hair metal, as far as the question mark, because these are four bands that aren't really hair metal. They're more in the traditional metal sense. And but this is the releases that people would say are more hair metal or more melodic metal, if you will, or they just went more mainstream with these releases. And so we are going to be doing these four albums and figuring out which one I think is the better album here, one through four. So yeah, I could have definitely chose more than four albums. So we will definitely have like a part two or three on this specifically, like traditional bands or thrash bands, going more mainstream, going into a different sound. So let us start with we're going to talk about each of these albums first, and then I'll give you my ranking. So I want to talk about Accept first here. Eat the Heat. So this is the first one with David Reese. Udo is out the door, obviously here, and this comes out in 1989. Did reach in the top 140 in the U.S. Billboard 200 chart, but it didn't do any certifications. The tour was lacking, and they just kind of somewhat disbanded until I believe 1993 when Udo came back to Accept. And then obviously after this album, and once they kind of like disbanded or kicked David out, whatever you want to call it, David Reese ends up going and doing the great Bangalore Choir on Target album in 1992. Great stuff there. But as far as this album goes, I was always impressed with this album, even when I picked it up years and years ago. Because like this was one of the first, not the first, but one of the first Accept albums, probably like the third or fourth one I picked up in my collection throughout the years. And I was like, I always heard people say, oh, this is the Accept Glam album or hair metal album. And I was like, oh shit, okay, that sounds cool. I'm down with that. I like Udo Accept, and I also want to hear what they're doing as far as like hair metal, because obviously big hair metal fans over here on the channel. So this is definitely one that I was happy with that I picked up, and I was like, why did I wait so long to get this album? So now this is the reissue here that I have. So like the order is way different than the original release. So but you got songs on here like XTC Generation Clash is really good. That was the music video single to this. That might have been actually the only single, I think. Now I'm thinking of it. Love Sensation's cool. Hellhammer's heavy. And that's the thing. Like I don't think Accept really gave up any of the heaviness because there are some heavy songs still on this, but it is a little bit more thrown in the direction of melodic stuff, But Accept always kind of had melodic stuff. They weren't like thrashy, they weren't like very heavy, Like, I mean, I don't know. I just, this isn't totally out in left field like some people make it out to be. Um, and I think David Reese absolutely holds his own as far as vocals go. Yes, no one can be Udo. No one can have that Udo sound. But if you listen to like some of David Reese's live stuff during this tour with Accept, he does like balls to the walls really well. And some of the Udo stuff. So I wouldn't, just throw off David Reese as far as like just because it's someone different on this album singing. He certainly holds his own, and certainly once he gets the Bangalore Choir and all the other projects he's done throughout the years, like certainly holds his own vocal wise. You also have the ballad on here, "Mistreated," which is like over 8 minutes long, which is absolutely crazy when you think of it, like with Accept and stuff. Like, but I think it works. Or uh, David, you I don't want to say you don't think of David as a ballad singer because he does have a couple ballads on the debut album of Bangalore Choir, and they're really good. But like when you're thinking of like Accept and such, like you're kind of like, oh shit, this is like really good, an epic ballad, if you will. Like holy hell, let's go. But I like it. I have very good guitar solos in that as well. You got D Train, which finished off this version of the album. Really good guitar solos in that. But I will say some of the things that are lacking, I think, on this album. I know some people complain about the drums as like sound very like a drum machine. kind of like to Judas Priest's Ram It Down, which I get that. I understand people's complaints with that. And but that doesn't necessarily hurt it for me. Like I don't love it, but I don't hate it either. Same thing with Ram It Down. Like that's not the first thing that comes to my ears or to my attention when I'm listening to, this Accept album, Eat the Heat, or Ram It Down. Um, like I said, don't hate it, don't love it, but I can find other things I don't like about these two albums, before that. And also too, Wolf. I think as great as like a Wolf or as great as a guitar player Wolf is, there's not much to be had as far as like solos and like just great riffage all the way around. I think like if you're doing a hair metal album, I th- that's like one of the strong suits for hair metal is the guitar solos, like the guitar hero going crazy. And Wolf kind of like takes a step back as far as that goes, even compared to like the previous Accept stuff. Like, I don't know what the issue was with that. Like, why is Wolf kind of like taking a back seat, And he's like the only guy that's doing the guitars on here that I've seen, or that I read. And that just always kind of threw me for a loop when I'm listening to this because like Generation Clash could be so much of a better song. It's still a really good song. I still really like it, but it could be better if they had a little bit of shreddiness in it. Uh, I don't know. I think he and Accept kind of missed the ball on that. To really play into those his hands. As far as soloing and stuff. But yeah, as far as like a couple songs to check out off this album, XTC, very good, heavy. Generation Clash, the ballad Mistreated, D Train's good. Like David Reese certainly holds his own, and I always dug that album, and I still do. It's one of my favorite Accept albums to be completely honest with you. When I think of Accept, that's certainly like a top three album that I tend to grab when I go to grab my Accept collection. So that is going to be the first one that we're doing here, and you're just gonna have to wait to see where I put that. Whether it's one, whether it's four, whether it's three, I don't know. Although I hope David Reese isn't watching if I do end up putting this at number four. So,
Hi, this is David Reese, and you're watching the Crash Course Metal Show.
all right, let's talk about the next one here, and that is going to be Judas Priest's Turbo. So this comes out here in 1986, coming after 1984's Defenders of the Faith, which is a pretty heavy album, considering, especially when you compare it to Turbo here. Now, this is the album everyone says Judas Priest went glam, Judas Priest went hair metal with it. And I remember I bought this when I was an early teen, mid-teen, I guess. Still in high school or middle. No, still in high school. And I liked it, but I never was like, "Oh, this is great." So you have 9 tracks on here. I was never the biggest fan of the title track or Turbo Lover. You know, I ne- I don't hate it. I can listen to it. Like I was listening to it earlier today at the gym, and I was like, oh, I caught myself kind of singing along to it. But I remember when I was younger, I didn't really care for it much. Um, so it is what it is. I'm cool with it. But I'd rather hear this though than not like Breaking the Law or something like that. Certainly overplayed. But I don't know. I think this album also gets shit on for I don't want to say no reason, but I think it holds up still pretty well. Like it did go platinum eventually. It did reach the number 17 in the top 200 Billboard charts. I don't know. I as time is moving on, I am liking it more and more. Than when I first bought it when I was a teenager. So you do have here Locked In, which was another music video single. I like that song. That's a pretty good song. Kind of the most Judas Priest sounding single, I would say, off of this album. But certainly because you had parental guidance as well as a single, which I like that song. But it is very mainstream in sound, very hair metally sound with that big chorus, sing along chorus and such. So I get that. I get why people don't like that song, but I like it. It's cool. I catch myself like nodding along to it, singing along to it. Same thing a little bit like with Private Property as well. Out in the Cold's kind of like a cool mid tempo type deal. Wild Nights, Hot Crazy Days, another party type song. Uh, just I don't know. Now do I like I said I don't love this album, but I can listen to it. Like I only have probably about half the album on the iPod, to be completely honest with you. But it's nothing that I hate. I don't mind having it in the collection. I don't. I do understand why people give a shit. Like I said, I understand why. But to me, I'm all right with it being in the iPod, I like it. Good stuff. Rob sounds fine. You know, the band sounds fine. Production wise, maybe sounds a little. Obviously, it sounds more produced than say Defenders of the Faith. You know, obviously that album, it sounds like they're in a goddamn theater, which is actually kind of cool too. Like I like that sound on that album. It gives it kind of an edge. And I you know this just kind of going the total opposite way of that album, and I get why people don't like this album. But like I said, just give it a chance. I'm sure there's a couple songs on here that you like, especially if you're in the hair metal space. You know, if you like the glam metal type stuff. So it is what it is. Not my favorite album, certainly by Judas Priest, but one that I can visit. I can visit and not get upset about. So that is going to be the second one here that we're talking about. The next one here in our Foursquare is going to be Halloween, the German power metal greats, OGs, if you will. And that is going to be their 1991 albums, Pink Bubbles Go Ape. Now, this album, for the time, it was a total shock, I would say, because you're coming off of Walls of Jericho, which is a very uh new wave of British heavy metal slash even like elements of speed metal, very prototypical type speed metal type stuff on that album, on their debut album. And then you got the Keeper of the Seven Keys Part 1 and Part 2 coming out with Michael Kiske in 87 and 88. That really defines what power metal and even symphonic metal will become, and I get why people don't like this album because I did, and I did buy the Keepers first in my life. And then I think I bought this second, or after the Keepers. And I was a little like I have to admit I was a little taken back. Same thing with Chameleon. I could have thrown Chameleon on this list too, which it might be on down the line in another Foursquare with this kind of topic. But I thought this would be a little bit better because this is more like Chameleon totally goes into like jazz and like goes into all kinds of different shit, acoustics, like so that's way out in left field compared to the rest of this or the topic. So I think this is a little bit more along the lines of saying like going melodic or more mainstream, not necessarily hair metal because they don't have that really hair metal look here, but nonetheless though I think it's a good album. I still like as I'm getting older I am enjoying this even more. Like I said, I always liked it. There was always songs on here I really dug, but as time is going on, like the last few years, I'm like, let me add that track to the iPod. I forgot about this, let me add this to the iPod. So Kids of the Century was the single off of here, music video. Good song, kind of like an anthem type song. But the issue is here, certainly with the rest of this album, there's like three ballads on here, which I'm fine with. I'm cool. I always liked the ballads that were on here. But when you're coming off the greatest power metal album of all time, part one and part two, like it's gonna shock and piss people off that we're not getting anything like Keepers. So that I get that, and I feel like we might have went a little bit in a different direction an album or two too soon, but I still like what they put out with the rest of the time with Kiske. But like Back on the Streets is fine. Number One's cool. I like the lyrical content in some of these songs, because like the chants is cool too. Like I always, even when I was a young teenager, when I first bought this, there's a lyric in here that always kept in my mind. And I just like the song because of that, basically, which is a fine song though. But like I kept the song around because of the lyrics of this song, because like he says the chance you come or the chance that comes never twice. So do your best and do it right. And it's just awesome stuff because it just says like be as smart as you can be, and just take the chance, do it. Don't let this pass. Just really cool stuff. And that's the thing with Halloween. They always had that kind of like fun lyrics. Like they had fun songs, that even throughout the whole catalog, even once Andy came along after Kiske. But they also had like serious stuff though too, and also heavy stuff, fast stuff. Like Halloween, I don't think gets kind of the credit that they do. This is that they what how do I say this? They don't really get the credit that's due as far as them being able to play whatever they want. They can play a good jazz song, they can play a good blues song, acoustics type stuff, power metal on the lines of speed metal, even because they're like they certainly play around throughout their catalog. And I think that when they do that, the songs are quality. Like not the greatest thing I ever heard, but quality nonetheless. Great band, great musicians. All right, so Mankind is another ballad that's pretty good. Your Turn, the last track off of here, off the original album. Very good. I like it. Another ballad. I like it. Now, sure, yes, you get Heavy Metal Hamsters, which is very tongue in cheek, silly in spots lyrically. But I mean, it's fine if you put away to the side that this is the greatest power metal band of all time, or that they created power metal with those Keeper albums, and you're expecting Keeper again after these chronologically, you're gonna be let down, no doubt. You're gonna be let down. But if you just set it aside as a single album, I think you can have fun with it. It's not hateful at the slightest. So, but also too with this reissue here from what 2006, uh, they had bonus tracks on here. So you had Blue Suede Shoes, which is the cover, obviously, which is fun. That's a fun one. Michael Kiske does a good job on that. Shit and Lobster is a good one. It was like a B side, I believe. Then they have this like instrumental Les Hamburgos Walk Away. I don't know. It's like German, I guess.
What does this say?
Look, just say Smith or Jones or something. There's no way you can pronounce that right.
And but it's like a very slow blues instrumental, which is absolutely beautiful with like very small like slices of jazz. It feels like in there, like jazzy guitar solos and stuff. Like I said, like Halloween, they are musicians, they can play. And a lot of people give them shit because they want Keeper of the Seven Keys over and over and over again, which hey, I get it. Great albums. That's great. Whether you want to call it a double album or just two albums, whatever. But it is great. But they also put out great stuff afterward too that you need to listen to and with an open mind. But yeah, check out Pink Bubbles Go Ape. Just wanted to jump in here, guys, and say if you guys are still watching this video, thank you so much for watching the Crash Course Metal Show. Not just this video, but all the other videos that I post and upload. We appreciate you guys being here and helping to keep this, metal genre alive. And it takes every single one of you to help keep it alive as well. And guys, if you haven't yet, click the like button. It's still free to do. Come on, it just helps the algorithms and it helps us get to other fans that like this music as well, and also brings in fans that don't know that they are fans of this music as well. So click the like button and also share this video with a friend that that likes this style of music: hair metal, thrash metal, power metal, just heavy metal in general. Give it a share. Appreciate that. And also to click the subscribe button. Hang out with us, party with us for a little while. Let's build this community up. So that's all I wanted to say. We are going right back to the video, and thanks so much for watching. So our next one here, we got Black Sabbath. Tony Iommi's Black Sabbath, if you will, I guess. Because obviously this was supposed to be a Tony Iommi solo record, and that just did not happen. They said, hey, put the Black Sabbath label on here, or you're going to get the hell out of here. We ain't going to put it out, I guess, but one way or the other. So on WB, Warner Brothers, 7-star from 1986, I believe, as well. This is a good album. I like this. I don't know why people give this shit. I will say you do have Glenn Hughes on here, obviously from like Deep Purple fame and stuff. Great vocalist here. He really shines on this album. I don't know. It sucks that they could not like get along on this out or like after this album because obviously then you get like Eternal Idol, then you get the Tony Martin era basically. Um, slash Ray Gillen for a little bit. But nonetheless, this album is awesome. People give shit to the single "No Stranger to Love." I love that song. That is probably one of my favorite songs off of any of these albums here that we're talking about. I can listen to that song anytime. And but it is keyboardy a little bit and ballady. So I can understand why it was kind of a flop. But just as a song, standalone song, awesome. Awesome stuff. Um, you do have on here In for the Kill, No Stranger to Love, like I said. Good stuff. Yeah, the one thing I will say about this album, it is a little bit like an EP, in my opinion. So you have In Memory, which is the final track. It's only like 2.5 minutes long. It's not really anything. And then also the fourth track, you got Sphinx, which is only like a minute or minute, 2 minutes. It's like an intro track, I guess, basically, to the title track, Seven Star. So technically, you only got like seven full tracks. And every time I start to get into this album, like as far as like playing it, the album's over. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, give us at least one or two more songs here. Like, it's way too short, and I don't even know if I would consider an album based on that. But yes, it does have, I guess, the length and the tracks technically to be called an album. But yeah, that's one of the biggest disappointments for me on this album. And I didn't actually realize this until recently that Eric Singer was the drummer on here, and I didn't know that. Obviously from Badlands and Kiss, eventually Kiss. So, but yeah, this album only went to 78, which is actually, I guess, kind of decent, you know, for the time, maybe like because you're only, but people are buying it for the Black Sabbath label, I guess, technically. So, it weird water, but I don't think it's certified. It didn't do jack shit certification wise. So, take that for what you will. But to me though, you got the title track Seven Stars, really cool chorus in there, like a groovy mid tempo type song, riffage. Also like Heart Like a Wheel, which is 6.5 minutes long, and that's like a bluesy style song. Great solos in there as well. One of my favorites off the album.
Okay, fellas, let's try one with that Memphis sound. Deep inside my heart, take one.
Because obviously I like blues, so like that is the one that I want to be heading to. One of the first ones I want to be heading to. Angry Heart's cool, kind of like not in your face, but bold feeling like chorus and such. Like interesting stuff. Danger Zone's fine. This is a decent album, guys. Like if you just always hear people talk shit about it and haven't checked it out, then I recommend to change that and check it out because this is certainly one that gets overlooked or forgotten. And you got to check it out. It's good. Like I said, the reason why it's probably going to go low on the list is because of the length of the album and only like 6 or 7 tracks total, So that is my thought. So let's go over here now and rank these. All right, here. So coming in at number 4, or number 4. This is actually was pretty tough for me to rank these. Like my 1 and 2 was tough, but my 3 and 4 were also tough on the bottom half, if you will say, with those two albums. So the fourth one is going to be Turbo from Judas Priest. Like I said, it's just one I probably visit the least out of all these. Judas Priest as a band is probably one of the least. It is the band that I visit the least out of these three bands. Is what? Well, probably not. I would say that because I probably visit Black Sabbath the least. Yeah, I don't really visit Black Sabbath that much, especially like Ozzy era. So I take that back. But nonetheless, this is just an album I don't really get to that much. Even like the singles, they don't really get put on any playlist of mine, so these songs don't really come up randomly. But nonetheless, so I like it. Like my 4 and 3, I still like a lot. They're still in the collection. Obviously, I got vinyl back there of it as well. So it's not that I hate the album. It's just out of these 4, I just have to put it at number number 4. So there you are. All right, number 3 is going to be Tony Iommi's 7-star. I think what really hurts it is the lack of material on here. For me, like as far as putting it higher and why I don't visit it that much. It sounds great. I really love the songs that I do like on here. But like I said, there's only like 6. Like, and to compare it with an album that has 11 good tracks, which are the next 2 albums I'm going to talk about, like I just can't put it higher, if you will. But nonetheless, they're like No Stranger to Love, good shit. I can listen to that anytime. But as of right now, that's going in at number 3. All right, number 2 is this was tough, but I just had to go with what I listened to the most throughout my life. And what I will say recently, I probably have listened to Accept a little more the last couple years, but overall, this is just gonna have to go at number 2 for now. But yeah, David Reese kills on this. He slays like a motherfucker. He came out giving no fucks and said, "Hey, this is me. This is what I'm doing." If you guys want to check out like David Reese's story, we interviewed him here on the channel like 2 years ago, maybe now, and like it's just a funny story how he was telling us like how he got into Accept and such. So if you guys want to check that out, check out the link right here. And that's pretty cool. So, but yeah, it is a great album. I just wish there was more. The thing that hurts it for me is I just wish there was more Wolf guitar work on here. That's what really holds it back for me when I'm listening to it. At some point, like in the 3rd or 4th track, well, and especially in Generation Clash, I'm like, where's the fucking solos at? Come on, guys! Like, what the hell? Let's go. Wolf's great. I want to hear him. I want to hear him on all these songs, and it's just not there. But that doesn't mean that the songs that there really aren't any great solos or anything like that are bad either. But it's just not as memorable as they should be. So that is going in at number 2. Accept Eat the Heat. Number 1, we have Helloween. Helloween was one of my favorite bands of all time. Especially when I was in high school in my teenage years and stuff. I loved Helloween. But like I said, I wasn't the biggest fan of Pink Bubbles Go Ape and Chameleon at the time. Yes, I liked songs on there. I could listen to it, but man, I was like everything Helloween, Andy era, Kiske era. So like this holds a little bit special place in my heart, but I will say I'm not going just all off of memory either or nostalgia. The last couple of years, I've been visiting this album a little bit more. I think it's getting better for me over time. So it's not like a nostalgic thing that how I rank this against the other albums. I have been listening to this album a little bit more. Maybe not as much as the Accept recently, but I've obviously only gotten the Accept album into my life 6-7 years ago. So a little bit less time. So, but nonetheless, this is getting better. This is getting better over time. So definitely, guys, let me know in the comments what you guys think of these 4 albums. Give me your ranking and give me some more albums from like traditional bands or thrash metal bands or whatever bands that aren't particularly hair metal, but they give me an album that they did that went more mainstream or hair metal feeling or just more melodic, like something off the wall for them. And we will rank them.
Talk to me.
Let me know. Quite looking forward to that. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, check out another Foursquared right here.
Yeah, I wrote that. It's called I Want to Rock Your Body. And then in parentheses it says to the break of dawn.